Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, we open up the door for you to give us a call. You can batter, you can bowl. Some people like the new ball. We have some challenges post the hurricane. 91.9 is still struggling, but we on RealFM 91.5. We on YouTube and Facebook. And we want to encourage you, if you have a phone, encourage somebody to help you. We are listened to by a lot of locals and elders in different communities. Help them. Even if you don't like our program, still discuss it with others. Because one of our main policies is that we walk around with the truth. There are times when we might excite the truth because we are not speaking from a script. But we believe that radio personalities must stick with the truth. There is no need to propagandize or lie on politicians. Politicians doing a good job at that for themselves. So we speak the truth. We don't only criticize. We make suggestions. In fact, anytime we decide to attack you, we bring a suggestion. We fear no one. And generally, we go after jugglers. So you will hear me going after the Prime Minister, the members of Parliament, the educators, the University of the West Indies, the trade union lawyers, and leaders. These are the people that give direction to our momentum. These are the people that determine what policy you have in our country. And these are the people that could sell you out. Always remember, the black man sold his children in slavery. The black man was selling slaves for over 700 years before the white man gone by. We have some people now making all kind of noise about reparation. And all I believe, they're not genuine concern about those that are affected by slavery the most. They want an opportunity to get money. They must speak the truth to us. We must get some money from African leaders too. They sold us in slavery. Today in Grenada, we're recovering after a hurricane. The hurricane did untold damage to the eastern and northern part of the island. And the present government we have seems to be incompetent. They don't know what to do. We cannot blame them. They are political neophytes. We selected them. In addition to that, they are arrogant. They're insensitive to the cries of the ordinary man. And they're greedy. So we're going to make suggestions. Now, it is very important for NAGMA. NAGMA should have some experience, but they're not behaving like experienced people. Remember what the old people say. If you want to know a man, you must have free food and drink. Every time, food sharing, people getting greedy. Some of the most greedy people I have ever met are professionals. They play saint. But when you see free food, they fool in the guts. Those who are tasked to share food adopt a policy of drummers' food, family first. So the people who deserve it the most are the ones who get the scrum. I want to make a suggestion. I know Deacon and members of the NDC would not pay attention to what I have to say. So I call on my brother Willie and camaraderie. They are lone men. And I have great respect for their opinion. Not that I agree with them all the time. But there is some level of objectivity in the opinion. I know they may not pay attention to ordinary folks like me. They might consider me dumb and making noise. But they must understand at this time, even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. And if they are honorable men and they are wise, they should listen to the stories of even the dumb and ignorant. The medical station in Grenada, all the medical stations, particularly in the rural area, immediately after a hurricane, generators should be provided for the medical station. The police station in the area should be responsible for providing generators for the medical station. It is paramount, most invaluable. It is important that the medical station remain active. A medical doctor should be operating from the medical station every day as much as possible. Now, after a hurricane or any disaster, trauma and stress is perhaps the one that takes the most lives. So you need a medical doctor operating in the medical station every day or 24/7. You cannot afford to abandon the medical station. You would put too much stress on the main hospital. Too much traffic will go to the main hospital and more people will die because of stress and traumatic circumstances. You don't have to win the Nobel Prize to know that. You don't have to be a medical doctor to know that. If you provide basic medical service in the medical station, it's going to prevent more traffic in the two hospitals. More people would survive. The nutmeg farmers in Grenada have been seriously traumatized. Perhaps in agriculture, they have been traumatized the most. Some of them go dead. Some of them are stressed out. If the doctor was in the medical station, some of them children might advise them, go to doctor. And by the time the doctor rests his hand on them, he say, you go plant it back, you go back. I give them a placebo. Some of them would live at peace. The Prime Minister of Grenada, he doesn't seem to have much sense. So I appeal to my brother, Willie, and Comrade Ray. Advise him. You have clout. You have more access to him. The journalistic bush. Advise him to make certain that he have a medical doctor operating daily in the medical stations. We cannot abandon the people. We blaming imperialism. We blaming neo-colonialism. We blaming traitors. But we are the ones that are abandoning our people. We seem so glad that you have vulnerable people in Grenada so we could take advantage of. I appeal to camaraderie. You are a member of the proletariats. You come from poor and vulnerable families. I'm certain your grandparents the poor like church mice. And I know you used to be upset and angry if they refer to you as illiterates and stinking Garites. So how now? How now you could support the disparaging remarks, the fractious language, the dismissive attitude of the government to the people in the lower income group? I believe we could do better. I am fully convinced that we could change things. In 5-10 years, we could change things dramatically in Grenada. So that is one of the suggestions I'll make today. A medical doctor must operate or should operate in the medical stations, particularly in the rural area that have been affected most, every day. When you're begging the international community, ask them to lend you doctors. Don't just go and beg for macaroni and tin stuff to make Grenadians more fat. Ask them to borrow you, lend you medical doctors, and put 1 or 2 in each medical station, particularly in the rural areas that are affected most, so that people could get attention. I bounced up a partner last night. He always plays shotney. We say he can't make it. He have toothache. And he don't know when he will go to the dentist. We must do better. You're talking about new hospital. The only reason you're talking about new hospital, because you could make a killing from it. Not because you genuinely want to help our people. If you genuinely want to help our people, have medical doctors operate in the medical stations on a regular basis. And in St. Patrick's Medical Health Clinic, you should have medical doctors, dentists, and a psychologist 7 days of the week. A lot of people that lose their income, they need psychological advice. They need to see a psychologist. Some of them lose their income, and they sure as daylight, they go lose their wife, they kept miss, and perhaps the woman too. So I encourage you, Ray and Willie. I know Dick won't listen to me. So I encourage you all, for what it is worth, listen. Because even the dull and the ignorant, they too have the story. And you must surprise. You may well be surprised that good suggestion could come from Dundan and Wega. Remember, you can get us through YouTube and Facebook, and you can get us through the WhatsApp. The number to call is 442-0175. Fella asked me this morning, what you think they go do for nutmeg? And I said, this group of people that we have no good track record in helping farmers. That's why I put this suggestion on the table. The Nutmeg Association should take the average income for the last year of the farmers. That's easy to get. Everything is computerized. You take the sales for 12 months. You divide it by 12. And you multiply it by the price that you pay. And you should pay at least 50% of that to the farmer for 3 years. For 3 years, the farmer should get the average sale of the nutmeg for the last 12 months. He should get that for 3 years. And you should assist the farmer in planting back nutmeg. And you should give him assistance for planting back nutmeg for 5 years. In that way, you will get back with a bang. All the farmers that saying they don't planting back, that is just shock. They go plant back. And in 5 years, our nutmeg will be back again. Don't tell me you don't have money. I could tell you how to get it. You have money. You just don't know you have because you don't care. Have a program. Provide an income for the farmers. At least 50% of the average sale for the last year. And start a particular program for them to rehabilitate. When you tell them you clear the land, what do you plant? Nutmeg plants might take about a year to produce. You must practice good husbandry practice. And our nutmeg trees are growing too tall. So that means we must plant it 50 feet apart. And you must not plant trees that could compete with the nutmeg for light. If you put mango in it, the nutmeg have to grow higher because you have to compete for light. And no, the Prime Minister don't have much sense where agriculture is concerned. And when he speaks, he makes Grenada look laughable. Why do I say that? The Prime Minister was the one that said he's going to get a net to collect the seaweed before he reach shore. Yes, that is possible. But at what cost? Is it economically realistic and practical? The Prime Minister said he's going to get Greenleg truck to pick coconut and mango and guava because the truck finished working 4:30. Yes, that's possible. But is it economical? Is it practical? That is some of the worst statements I ever hear in agriculture. I'm absolutely certain that individuals who are involved in agriculture, that is a joke in the Caribbean, a laughing joke. The Prime Minister has embarrassed agricultural expert. He has not rejoined the statement. How could you take which company that's going to give you the truck after 4:30 to go and pick mango and coconut and guava in the night? Which company they're going to give you the truck? Our terrain, our topography, our agricultural practice, it is not geared for that type of harvesting. So obviously, if a Prime Minister say that, then you know the Prime Minister don't have a clue about agriculture. And the National Democratic Congress cannot revert to history because they don't have a track record of doing good for the farmers. Remember, it was the same group that cut down Belvedere nutmeg. The banana nutmeg in Belvedere. Irrespective of mounting disagreement from agriculture, they cut down the nutmeg. We have to be able to change things. We have to be able to do things better. We have to be able to respond to situations better. We cannot have experts that afraid to speak. And some of the experts we have in agriculture, from the time the hurricane took place, they get lockjaw. They have no confidence in what they're saying. They're not certain what they're saying makes sense. So they hush them up. And the poor prime minister, who has no knowledge in that area, so arrogant that he believes he must open his mouth. And when he does, he causes undue embarrassment to extension officers, farmers, and agriculture individuals in the area. So I'm appealing to all and sundry. Discuss the issue. See if it makes sense that we provide 50% of the average income of the farmer the last 12 months, the average income. This information could be provided at the flick of your fingers by the secretary or any one of the accountants or clerk or what, because most of these things are computerized. You know how much nutmeg the farmer sold for the year. And you could determine whether you give them 50%, 75%, or 80%. And you do it for 3 years. So the farmer feel comfortable that he could go back and produce. And you assist the farmer. It is not hard. You know how much nutmeg trees you should plant in an acre land. How much holes that have to be dug. How much man days work. And once the nutmeg is planted properly, you could assist the farmer for once a year in clearing and maintaining good husbandry practice for 5 years. We have to do something, you know. I constantly say to these bright people, you cannot have all these certificates and don't make much sense. When you go to university, certificates is not to dress up your position. You didn't go to have a good command of the English language. That is important for communication, but it's not too important for production. You need to come back and practicalize your certification and provide concrete, practical, simple advice for farmers. That is what's going to make us grow. That is what's going to make us a better country. We have to do better. Not because you're in a position as a minister, it doesn't mean you have all the answers. And not because you're a supporter of the NDC, it doesn't mean that you have all the answers. None of us have all the answers. But all of us together could come up with solutions to address the challenges we face. I plead with this government. Even though you use a strong NDC, your woman might be NNP. Even though you use a strong NNP, your son-in-law might be NDC. You have family members, but wife and husband on different sides of the pendulum. And children on different sides. It has always been like that. And that is why the revolution could not succeed. By the time they jail over 3,000 Grenadians, castrate people, take target practice on people's food, they affected almost every family in Grenada. even soldiers. You think it's easy for a son to arrest a parent? That happened during the revolution. An agricultural officer was arrested for having a meeting. The revolution thought it was a meeting to overthrow the government. The meeting was to revive the goat society. He was arrested. And his son left the country after. That is why the government have to change their policy. Abandon the vindictive policy. Now is a good excuse for you to do it. Abandon the policy. Change the political demographics on the ground. Provide a medical doctor in the medical stations. That is a practical thing. People will like you for that. You'll get more support for that. It will look as if you're doing a good thing. Provide a dentist wherever possible. It's definitely possible in the north and in God. A dentist should be there 7 days for the week or 5 days for the week. Provide a psychologist, because farmers have lost their life saving. They're stressed out. They're traumatized. There is no hope for them. Provide a psychologist. When you're going out and beg, don't only beg for macaroni and tin stuff and food and pampers. Ask for medical doctors. Ask for psychologists. And there is absolutely no need. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Mr. Pierre.
Brother, welcome.
And how are you today?
Great, another great day.
All right, my sympathy goes out to all the farmers, especially who suffered losses for the nutmeg in particular, and the valuables. Now, all this advice given there is so important and so wonderful. Nice program. But you know, our policymakers, let's say to be exact, the politicians don't listen to people. They don't listen to the farmers. And I believe they don't have an interest in the economic development of the farmers. And that's the reason why you see we have seed and we have these handouts from time to time. Now, I believe, as it relates with my advice to the farmers, don't go planting nutmeg just helter-skelter any time of the month, you know, and any time of the day. I think we should be scientific. Use the moon. Yeah, there is upcoming and downgoing moon. Use the depress of the moon in fruitful signs. You get your trees bearing shorter and earlier. I develop an expertise in identifying the female nutmeg from the seed right up to the branches and the leaves. I planted nutmeg, acres of nutmeg, and I didn't have one male nutmeg. Yeah, so I developed that personally. But my advice to the farmers, please, don't plant your nutmeg 12 inches deep. Start planting your nutmeg at least 18 inches deep. Therefore, you should not plant a nutmeg tree that is less than 3 feet tall. Yeah? So you have depth in the soil. That will help the tree to resist heavy wind. It will break, but not topple. We are planting nutmeg too shallow because of the structure of the plant and the nature of the plant, which we have a lot of feeders, top feeders. Yeah? So if you plant deep, you'll have certain roots going down and across instead of planting shallow where it goes across. Any little wind, it will go. Yeah, that is my recommendation to the farmers. But I'm asking our policymakers and our politicians to listen to the simple and silly and stupid advice of the people who could help them, because it's not about them, it's about us, the entire citizens. Yeah, we have to start being listeners to our citizenry. Yeah? Instead of just ignoring, and then we fall in disaster and everybody pay the penalties. Have a good day, sir.
Yes, scholar, thank you very much. I've heard from a number of the elderly farmers that they could identify female nutmeg from the leaves very early. Some of them swear by it. Obviously, none of the individuals in academia have bothered to take them on. They just ignore them with impunity. And that's one of the challenges we have with our individuals who are tertiary educated. They seem more to be regurgitators and not very scientific minded to do research. You come out in university, you have the knowledge, you have the methodology, you know how to do research. Do not ignore the voice of reason. Do not ignore 1,000 years of tradition. When your great-grandmother tell you things, don't ignore it. Just as I use the term now, drummer's food, family first. We have heard that since we were children. If you want to know the character of an individual, they say you must have free food and free drinks. Even people who doesn't drink getting drunk when it's free. We cannot have all these agricultural exports and they decide to ignore the voice of tradition. When I say that, I always refer to some religious people. It is not solo scriptura. It is the scripture, the voice of the magisterium and the traditional fathers. So if you tell me solo scriptura, how much years the Bible was written after Jesus Christ? In the same way, you need the intelligentsia to work with the voice of tradition. The farmers claim they can identify the male. They swear by it. And who is me to doubt them? When you are so dismissive of the ordinary man, remember the in tongue long? They've been there. When you are so dismissive of them and you don't care about them, and you're making outrageous statements that is laughable in the international community, how do you expect the farmer to have hope? Nutmeg Association, ask Comrade, ask Willie if the suggestion that we make, I got it from farmers, if the suggestion to give the farmers a percentage of the average income for the last year for 3 years and help them to replant nutmeg. Provide the plants. You know how much holes that have to be dug. Pay for it. And once a year, clear the crop. And you can give them, as the callers say, husbandry practices. Plant it deeper. Let it grow shorter. Don't let it grow tall. Prune it. Let the branches spread out. And maybe you could even devise ways to prop it. Plant it 50 feet apart. Come on. We could do better than that. The farmer could find crop to intercrop, plants to intercrop while the nutmeg is growing. Why do we have an association that is against the farmers? Nutmeg Association has never seek the interests of the farmers. They always behaving as if there is a politico representing the interests of the old GNP and NDC. The time has come. You have a government you want. lobby the government making one amount of dumb statement. Why do I say that? It's the same government that want to use green leg chalk to pick mango and guava and coconut. The same government that want to have a net to collect all the seaweed before you show what is the economic practicality of it. It is the same government that fire 31 workers in Grand Bay Estate. I understand they employ back 20. 19 out of the 31 claim them is NDC. So I don't know if a NNP put yellow band and jump up. They employ 20 back. That is the government we have. You don't expect magic from them. They must eat, right now they must eat, tie up like crab. They don't know what to do. They traumatize and paralyze. And they preoccupy with sharing food. So the farmers are going to suffer. Some of the farmers go dead. So we begging the government, put doctors in the medical station. Some of the farmers are going to go and talk to the doctor. The doctor do some psychology. He might give them a placebo and encourage them to cool down. And in the meantime, Nutmeg Association put a package. You have money, you're broken. But I will tell you where to get the money from if you don't know. So the farmers going to have hope. Those that say they don't planting back, once you give them assistance, they go plant back. Some of them that are looking for nutmeg seed to plant back now, they're just trauma. I panic. They must be getting mad. They're not going to plant back seed. They want chainsaw. Chainsaw is another enemy in the country. When they finish, they're cutting down all trees. I see people using chainsaw on cocoa. The Cocoa Association shut them out. I've not even heard culture, man. I don't know if he traumatized. I've not even heard culture, man. I've not heard any statement from cocoa. Neither nutmeg. The Minister of Agriculture that say lunatic and idiots, I've not heard his voice. The Minister of Agriculture, they say we have plenty money, I've not heard his voice. Leadership comes in a crisis. That is when you know man from Manikou. When there is a crisis, that is when you know who is man. So at this time now, you don't have the answers. Everybody in Grenada know you don't have the answers. Ask people, take advice. They know you don't have much sense. Take a little advice. The individuals in agriculture seems they're waiting on you. Some of them don't say nothing because you're so fractious. You can't pull them together to act in a crisis. And that's when the public service does be at its best in a crisis. So we are left in limbo. And the farmers are seriously traumatized. And we appeal to you. We can't afford to let you stay stuck like rainstorm. We want you to do something. Give the farmers hope. That is why we so suggest. Give them a percentage of the average income for the last 12 months for 3 years. So they're comfortable. They say a little thing coming. I could pay my bill. My wife will leave me. Me kept me go get a little thing. And I might get some macaroni and Kentucky soup to eat. They can't say they want to put fig and blogger again. That fall. and people go and pick it up in the land. They can go, but the thief could go. So give them hope. That is what you want the Ministry of Agriculture to do. Make an announcement, sit down, brainstorm. Call Ray, call Willie. The two brothers are very objective. Call them. I don't agree with them most of the time, but they're objective. They are noble men of great learning. Call them. And give the farmers a percentage of the last average yearly income on a monthly basis. For 3 years, give them that. And initiate a program for the rehabilitation of nutmeg for 5 years. Sometimes you could only start the program 1 year from now because you don't have plants. You have to produce plants. You have to market nutmeg. No. And sometimes the percentage you're getting is not good because you don't have much practice in that. And those individuals who know how to do it, most of them have retired. You might not want back those NNP, but you might ask those NDC to go and ask them NNP how to do it. And make sure they're going to help you. We have to change the political demographics on the ground. Otherwise, I don't see how you could benefit politically. And I want you to benefit because I don't want you to sell Nawasa. I surrender you go sell the electricity company, but I really don't want you to sell Nawasa. You have a history of having the economy going free fall. So I don't want you to do that. And you don't come and say you don't have money. You don't have money. Maybe you need to cut down on your spending, cut down on your traveling. The ministerial travel 24 times in 23 months, banner. Stop paying for she and she both to go away. Don't get money for that. Cut down on traveling. Go back and put the 40%. You change it to 10. Put it back to 40. That was the justification, the rationale, the common, basic, invaluable sense that the previous government did. So in a harsh time, we mustn't be the best beggars. We must be able to come up with a program to meet our people's needs immediately. It don't look good. It don't look good. Every time we have a little disaster, we on we knees begging hopelessly. And we are abandoning the farmers. My heart goes out for the farmers. I'm a farmer too. Don't believe I talk about nutmeg. I won't get no money because I didn't sell no nutmeg for the last years. Last year I left it on the ground. I didn't sell. So I won't benefit. But I'm appealing to you. You have to assist the farmers. Farmers in St. Andrews, Brudggrove, Blaise, Monroe, Cloger, St. Patrick's. These nutmeg farmers, they go dead. Homan, you have to assist them. It's not hard. You have the money. Cut down on administration costs. There is no need for them. There is no need for all this administration costs. And before you do, talk with the workers. Ask them what they could do now to make more money. You're surprised to know the ideas they have. Some of them will open agricultural shop. And you have all the computer and you have computer savvy people. They could start to bring in agriculture supplies and you can sell it in Carlton. You have the workers there. You have the building. You have the storage. You have the computer. All you don't have is the mind. You're bad-minded. Sad. Our forefathers sent the best sons and daughters, the brightest sons and daughters, to go to university to get initiative. They were convinced that they could control the factors of production. They already had labor and they had capital, but they did not have initiative. So they send their sons and daughters to university. And when the sons and daughters come back, they become agents for the multinational corporation. They become regurgitators. They were not thinkers. They sell the people property. They go and build a big house. They buy a car. They can't maintain it. They become unproductive. They refuse to make children. And when they make a child and a half, most of them do a nuisance. Stupidity. Now we must think. In Guyana, when Bonham cried out to grow what you eat and eat what you grow, the University of the West Indies, our intelligentsia and the Caribbean never support Bonham. So Bonham say, Guyana going to be the bread basket in the Caribbean. When Jack Day scream out and he begged Caribbean countries to come and buy land in Guyana, none of them agree. Instead of that, we educate nurses to go in England. Our nurses left Grenada. Even the trade union encouraged them to go. Well-trained nurses. Most of them over 35. Some of them lead their children and a man in Grenada. And they go in England to work on contract. We send our young sons to go to the army in England. We kill sports. We kill cricket. Your young sons, you send them to go in the army in England. And then you're asking England for reparation. No sense. So we need to take a different outlook. This country belongs to us. And all of us must come on board to address the challenges that face us. We could solve the problem. And to add insult to injury, we have a government now that is preoccupied with telling lies, very insensitive to the cries of the ordinary man, and behaving like vultures. Now that we have a crisis, they're panicking. They don't know what to do. So come back to basic. Come back to basic. Abandon your policy of victimization. Abandon that policy. Change the political demographics on the ground. Remember, we are all Grenadians, and it's a small population. So we need to change it. And you could give me a call, you know. Number to call is 4420175. We get it on WhatsApp. You have been affected by the hurricane. You could call me and tell me whether you support the call I'm making to get assistance on nutmeg farmers, or whether you support the call I'm making to get them to put a doctor in a medical station, or whether you support the call to make certain the medical complex in St. Patrick's have a doctor, a psychologist, and a dentist at least 5 days for the week or 7 days for the week. Never before we needed a psychologist in the medical station as now. A lot of farmers go be in trouble. A lot of farmers go be in trouble. The farmers are economically stranded. They lose their source of income. They are traumatized. And they need hope. So you take it from two angles. You provide the necessary medical personnel in the medical station, and you come up with a program saying to the farmers not to worry, the government would assist you. Don't worry. We want to hear that from the Minister of Agriculture. We want to hear that from the chairman of the Nutmeg Board. We want to hear that from the chairman of the Cocoa Board. And then we want to hear that from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has been telling so much lies that if you hear it from it first, the farmer might just shoot, say he lie again. But when you hear it from these men, you will say at least this time he might be speaking the truth. We have to give our farmers hope. We have to reach them. It is not fair. Some of the people who lost their houses are convinced they're going to get assistance. But the farmers lost their source of income. And it's important that the government earmark on a rehabilitation and rebuilding program. And one of the things you could do, if it's taking you long to work out the plan, verbally give the farmers hope. Say to them, the government is backing you. We're going to help you. We'll provide assistance to them. Give them a percentage of the income for the last 12 months, the average income. So every month they get it. Give them for about 3 years. And come up with a program how you will rehabilitate nutmeg. Because you must produce the plants. If the farmers produce the plants, they will plant anything. And then 50% is male and all sort of nonsense story. In the meantime, take on the elderly farmers that tell you we can identify what that is female and male. Some elderly farmers put their life, they swear by it. They say they have been doing it with a fair measure of success. You have to concentrate on the type of seeds you plant. Even now, the nutmeg fall, but the farmers might know what type of seeds, what are the better seeds to plant. Because you always want to plant the best seeds. It's a sad time for the farmers because this government don't have a track record. Yes, farmer. Yes, my brother. Welcome.
Yes, good day, Mr. Pierre. Good day. Yeah. Mr. Pierre, your call is much heeded by a lot of people. Is a clarion call that you give to the government, the cocoa and nutmeg farmers. After 20 years of trying to rebuild the cocoa and nutmeg plantation on the island when Ivan had ravished it, it is very important now to seek the help of these people to assist farmers. Very important call. But I am saying also, this government don't like farmers, and I taking it from the spell of shutting down marketing board, locking down that entity that needed support and help to refinance and rebuild itself, to assist farmers, because a lot of farmers now, vegetable and otherwise, is not so impressed because of for planting or making headway in the farming fraternity. And I think that whatsoever happens, if they want to make things happen for farmers in this country, they should look hard into the issue of subsidizing farmers from here on. And it's a very good call. But the government has received 44 million US, and that don't have to do nothing with the Grand Lake and the Nawasa. That has to do with the rebuilding and for the help of reversing the agricultural sector and other things for people who need, in dire need, for their homes and so forth. But a lot of farmers who lost homes and things too, they need to be adequately dealt with, and something has to happen, because from the offset of this barrel, it means therefore we're going to fall back at least 10 years or 15 years before we can really feel the effect of the cocoa and nutmeg springing back in our country. And it's very important, Mr. Pierre, and continue to echo that sentiment. And I will help you echo it also by asking them to do something immediately, because now you will hardly have nutmeg and cocoa to sell. And that's a fact. Thank you very much, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar. You see, the saddest part is that the government is not capable. They're very incompetent. They have been behaving like vultures. They're very greedy. They're insensitive. They seem to lack institutional knowledge, and they are vengeful. So it is even more important now that we come up with suggestions, begging them and pleading with the NDC that is quiet now to talk. Talk to the government. What's going to happen to Grenada if we let the government continue on that trajectory? They're vengeful. They introduce a policy of restorative justice. That in its practicality on the ground is political vengeance. No, it's not the time for that. The government behaving as if they're on drugs. Like when you leave money, children inherit money, but they never used to work hard, so they squander it. One minister go away 23 times in 24 months. The prime minister flying as if he's a pilot. Look at the dismissive attitude towards people. And that is why we're begging them. Concentrate on the health by providing doctors in the medical station and come up with a program for the farmers. Help the farmers. And we'll be back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1. And we do hope that more and more people are able to reach us through the WhatsApp. And the station is doing everything possible to come back in June. Thank you very much.